Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy and today I thought it would be time to give a bit of an update on my Philodendron species affinity saggitfolium. Now, I have done a dedicated plant story video about the story of this plant on my channel, so I'm going to link that here. In this video, I'm not going to go into much detail about where I got it from and the story behind it, which is a nice little story if I do say so myself. This is one of my all-time favorite plants in my collection. The plant that I just will never get rid of, will never even cut. I've never cut this plant and I don't think I ever will be able to make myself do that. So yeah, I will have had this plant for 3 years in the next 2 weeks or so. And so it's definitely time to give a big update on this. It's one of my best growers, one of my biggest philodendrons, the plant that I can get the leaves to grow really big without that much effort. And if you've been on my channel before, I'm sure that you're aware of this plant, but if you're new, get ready because this plant is big, okay? I'm gonna put in some B-roll here to show you how big it actually is and where it normally sits. First of all, I'll show you where it sits kind of in the back of the room, in this kind of jungle area where everything's a little bit mad, things get forgotten about. There's stuff growing in all sorts of directions and it kind of sits behind all of that. And then I'll show you now with all of the other plants pulled away, just to show you the sheer size of it, really. It's well over a meter. Actually, I'm going to measure it. Hold on, hold that thought. Yeah, it's just under a meter, just under a meter. So, and the biggest leaf, which I don't know, do you measure from the ears? I assume that you do. From the ears is 40 centimeters. Oh my God, nearly knocked my water. What is going on? It's 40 centimeters long. The newest leaf is the big one. And yeah, so I'm going to just give a little discussion about the care, how I've managed to get it to grow this way for the last 3 years. And just show and tell, really. Like, it's fucking heavy, man. It's heavy. And it's very hard not to knock other plants in the process of doing it. Whoa! She up here. Like, there is no way this is going to work in the frame. I'm actually going to just push you back and see how far. I mean, it's still not even fitting in. It's like a fucking tree. It's literally like a tree. Wait, let me put it in between my legs. Get it a bit lower. That's better. That's the newest leaf here. So this is 40 centimeters, biggest leaf. The philodendron tree of my dreams. You can't even really see me. And I'm going to continue to talk. Yeah, philodendron tree of my dreams. Never stops growing. Always happy, never fussy. Let's try and show you the back, can I? Yeah, it's big. It's quite lean back. It's just the way that it's grown. So I do have to kind of rest it against the wall. I'm going to hit my light. Oh, can you see my light? I don't think so. Yeah, so that's the back. So I did show this in a recent video on my biggest plants, but like, this deserves its own, okay? It's the pride of my collection, really. And I don't even fully know what plant it is, which is ironic. So basically, this is the 3rd year having this plant. It started off as a cutting from a philodendron that literally was a fucking tree. So I brought it home from where it was, I put it in water, and I had it in water for months and months and months and months and months. And it did not grow any roots, and I was very worried about it all the time. Then one day it just decided, okay, I want to start growing, I want to have some roots. It did, it grew big, thick, fluffy roots, but the leaves came out a little bit weird. And I put that down to not having been fertilized at all. It was only growing in water. It had no nutrition, essentially. So when it started growing roots, then I kept it in water for a little bit too long because I was worried about the transition to soil. But I knew that once I did do that and it did get some nutrition, the newer leaves would be better. So I think that was a good decision in the end. Put it in soil and it just fucking took off. Literally took off. This is not one of the original leaves. The young or the oldest leaf down here is not one of the originals. I think there were maybe 3 before this. And this was the first leaf that got put out that didn't have very long in the nutrition. I think it was just after I put it in soil. So it does look a little bit strange compared to the other ones. The ears are not as long or anything like that. But you know, it's fine. It started growing up then. This is the next leaf. So I got some big, nice ears on this. Another one over here. Over here, here, and this leaf as well. So a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves that were going well. And then this leaf came out and it was small and it was weird. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I'm fairly sure that it was just quite root bound. I hadn't repotted it at all. And the roots on this plant grow so fast and they're really, really thick roots. They're chunky roots. So I decided to pot it up, and then the next leaf was this one. And that obviously sorted out the issue. And then it was in that pot until just this Christmas where I repotted it again. I should have probably filmed that because it was quite a funny process. It is difficult to pot a plant that's this fucking big. So it's in a giant pot now. I did pot it up a good bit because I knew that it would be able to handle it, and I don't want to repot this plant for a long time. I want to see how it does. It's already growing a new leaf. Since I've had this plant, it's always been really prolific at putting out aerial roots. I don't know why that is compared to other philodendrons. Some philodendrons are just so easy to put out aerial roots. Like, can't even think of any other ones now. But some philodendrons are just put out aerial roots so easily. You don't have to do anything. Even if they don't have a support or a stake, they will try. And this plant has been that for me. Like, as you can see, the aerial roots are insane. I decided I had kind of placed these against the cork wall that I made. But then when I was potting it up, I decided that I might just put them into the soil, and then any new aerial roots can use the cork board, which I think is good. And the aerial roots have now since gone into the soil, had secondary roots, and now are coming back out of the soil. You might see in some of the B-roll that I have these little small shitty dried dead plants at the bottom. Just before Christmas I picked up, I think they're called helixine. They're kind of like a ground cover, delicate, beautiful plant, and it's something that I want to start doing or attempting to do with some of my big plants where they have a lot of bare soil at the top. Try to grow some ground cover plants in them because I think it will look nicer, and it might end up having healthier plants because of it. However, they definitely just didn't get enough light back there. They were totally and utterly in the darkness. So they've just died, and I've just accepted that. I'll have to try something else. We'll see what that goes. I am planning on rearranging my entire collection, so maybe when I do that, it will end up having a bit more light at the bottom of the pot. But as some of you know, I tend to really squish in my plants together and make it look like a jungle, so that may or may not happen. But yeah, since I've repotted it, it's been pretty happy. This leaf was already kind of half emerged, the biggest leaf, the 40 centimeter leaf. It had already half emerged when I repotted it. So the next leaf is coming in. We'll see, is it going to get bigger? Is it going to be smaller because of the stress? I'm not sure. In terms of kind of attaching to this branch that I've had it on for a long time, it attaches well, but I think the branch is too thin, and once it attaches, it wants more surface area that I don't have for it. And that was kind of the purpose of the cork wall behind me. so that they could have a kind of a lateral growth, and they'd have a lot of space to attach on. Honestly, nothing has fully attached to that yet. Sometimes these things take time. Maybe it won't actually work at all. We will just have to see, and as time goes on. It seems very happy with the support. As I said, it's difficult. Like, I have a lot of tall plants, right, that I've had on stakes, but they've never been really heavy. Like, there is weight to this plant. The petioles, the leaves, the big, thick stem is really heavy. So not only am I needing height, but I'm needing like strong integrity, structure. And like, essentially this branch is going to become, I'm going to need a huge pull for this, because as I said, I don't ever want to cut this plant. I want this to become a massive tree in my home. If it reaches the ceiling, that's probably when I would cut it, but I generally probably just start with just pot it into the bottom of the pot again. But yeah, I'm gonna have to research like an extremely sturdy, I don't know, wooden situation. We have to sort it out. So as far as the care for this, man, like, it's so easy to care for. It's not one of those plants that visibly shows when it's thirsty. Sometimes the leaves will feel a little bit thin, but if I'm not going around touching it, which I don't do a lot, I may not notice that. But it's generally, I will look at the top of the pot. If I see that the soil has kind of come away from the sides, you know, you can tell when the soil is really dry, it will come away from the sides of the pot a little bit, then I'll give it a very deep watering. But other than that, there's no other care. I fertilize like I do with all my other plants, organic seaweed fertilizer throughout the growing season, a couple of times over winter as well. And it does really well. There's obviously organic matter in the soil as well, so that keeps it kind of tipping away with nutrients. I used to be much better at this, but I used to clean the leaves of this quite a lot with a diluted alcohol solution. That is my go-to method for pest prevention as well. I haven't done this for a very long time, and you know when you just know. I know it's going to creep up on me, I just know it. So I'm hoping to do that very soon. But like, there isn't really much else to say. I've just been very lucky with it as well. It's just happy. In terms of light, it doesn't get a lot of light. Like, compared to my other plants, it gets lower levels of light, and actually being pushed back to the back of the room, I'd say it gets low to moderate light, but it seems very happy with that. And I do think that sometimes that encourages the leaves, especially of climbing plants like this, to grow a little bit bigger, because they want more surface area, more chlorophyll, so that they can take in more light when they need it. If they're getting loads of light, they're like, why would I bother getting big leaves? Because I don't need them. That's what I think anyway. And I mean, it seems to have worked. I'm really, really excited about the future of this plant. I mean, I love it so much already. Whoa, there you go, big leaf. Oh my gosh. I'm really excited about the future of this plant and what it can become. I mean, hopefully it just becomes the tree that I want it to be. It also has a deep sentimental value to me, and if you watch the plant story video, then you know why. And if you're interested, you can go and watch that too. But yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to grow it. I'm really happy nothing bad has happened to it. I mean, it's kind of amazing that it's, because of its sentimental value, the fact that it's done so well just means so much to me, and I'm so happy about it. On top of that, I'm still not even sure if it is a saggitfolium. There's the explanation on that in the plant story video as well. We don't really know what this is, and that's why you say species affinity. It's like it has an affinity to this species, or it's similar to this species. This is what it's closest to maybe, but we're still not really sure what it is. And on top of that, like, I don't think it's going to be possible to actually figure out what this plant is unless it flowered for me, which, I mean, I don't know, maybe it will, but I feel like no philodendron are going to flower indoors for me in the middle of Ireland. So I'm not sure. Yes, that was a little bit of a rambly video, but I hope that you enjoyed it. Just want to share my happiness and love over this beautiful plant in my collection. I really hope that you enjoyed watching it. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.